We have converted all the conferences as virtual, and as well as those conferences are free now. So if you are interested, you can just search for us on meetup.com. You'll find various links, and we have various meetups focus on various product groups. Like for AI and machine learning, we have different meetup. For Office 65 or Microsoft 65, we have different meetup. If you are interested in SQL, we have a separate meetup for that as well. As I mentioned, we organize quite a few events. One of the event is coming up on 13th November, which is going to be a mini summit. But one thing is about most of the events we organize is those events tends to be on East Coast time zone of US. We don't normally do like around the clock events like this is happening right now. As Satya mentioned, I am recipient of Antarctic Service Medal, and also I'm recipient of Microsoft MVP Award since 2017. Those of you who are not familiar with this award, so I don't work from Microsoft. It's just additional recognition that Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contributions in various product categories. And those technical contributions can be in the form of writing blog posts, creating training videos, creating videos and posting them for free on YouTube or any other social media channel, solving people's questions on various technical forums, writing books, speaking at conferences, and also providing direct feedback to the Microsoft product group. And this award is only valid for 12 months. And after 12 months, we have to apply for a renewal. And first time I got this award was in 2017, and my category was that time Office 365 and particularly SharePoint. And since last 2 years, I changed my category, and now I'm an AI MVP. And again, as I mentioned, these awards are only valid for 12 months. And after 12 months, we had to apply for renewal, and then it goes through again the rigorous evaluation process. And depending your contributions from the last 12 months, Microsoft then decide whether to award you for the next 12 months or not. And currently, I'm working as Senior Solution Architect with Witham Digital. We are predominantly a East Coast-based company in US. We have recently opened an office in California. And also last year, we opened an office in Bangalore as well. We are in the hiring spree right now. So if you are interested exploring some opportunities with us, definitely reach out to me. And as Satya mentioned, I have worked on a variety of products in Microsoft ecosystem because my focus is intelligent business process automation. And in that focus, whatever tools that are there at my disposal, we use that. Like I have worked extensively on Azure, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Azure AI, bots, along with Power Platform as well. And as I mentioned, I worked at Witham's Washington, DC office. So this is the quick introduction about our company. We have 2 Microsoft MVPs on the staff. We have done 100 plus Microsoft cloud deployments. We have 50 plus consultants dedicated to Microsoft ecosystem only. And we are providing services in the Microsoft space from quite a long time. And these are the various capabilities we have. Another thing is I will be doing a workshop on conversational AI during the big data platform summit that is going to happen in December. So definitely check us out. One of the important thing we would like to remind, and you may have seen it on the session as well. So right now there is a good 55% discount is up for the grab. So this opportunity may not last that long. So if you are interested in learning the greatest and latest information in data platform and Microsoft AI platform, definitely check us out on the Data Platform Virtual Summit. And you will see there various master classes are listed. Depending on your interest, you can sign up for that. And again, while signing up, you can use this discount code DPS 2020, so you can get 55% discount. So this is going to be the agenda for this session. It's going to be 100 level session in the mean that I anticipate or expect that you don't have much exposure to the Microsoft AI platform, or even if you do have, you have played a little and you are a little bit struggling where to start if you want to get your hands dirty in Microsoft AI stack. So we'll start with what is AI, because Setting the level of expectation when it comes to AI is very, very important. Whether you are just starting to learn that, or whether you are starting to implement that in your organization or in your product. We'll also talk about what is machine learning, where does cognitive services come, what are their roles are, how to get started. We will have lots of demos, key takeaways, and Q&A. So I have two screens, and along with me, Satya is also there as a moderator. So if you have any questions, feel free to post those questions anytime into the chat window. I will be periodically monitoring, and also Satya, please feel free to interrupt if you see any questions in the chat window. So let's talk about why this session, like why we should learn or invest our time learning about AI and machine learning in general. So I personally think because of all the advancement in computation that's happening, the tech industry in general is focusing of using AI in business application. Like you may be hearing a lot of hype or news around driverless cars or autonomous cars in the media, and now we can have that because we have the computation power to support that. And I personally think the AI and machine learning space is the same stage where mobile development was when iPhone 1 was launched. If you go back 13 years, 2007, when Apple announced about the iPhone 1, at that time, very few companies were writing applications for mobile devices. Fast forward 13 years, if you join organization or if you're working for a product, you want to make sure your product works on mobile device first. Or if you are writing an application for your enterprise, you want to make sure that that application works on mobile device first, and then you will, if you have any surplus funds, then you will make sure that that particular application work on the desktop applications as well. So similar uh, trend you will see where if fast forward maybe 2 or 3 years, if you are launching a new product or if your organization is rolling out a new initiative inside your enterprise, then the business sponsor want to make sure is you are using some kind of AI and machine learning in your application or in your product. One of the key statistics I would like to highlight here again, the statistics are old, like 3 years before. So during the holiday season, and the typical holiday season in the United States is starting from November to December end, where we have Thanksgiving and we also have Christmas, where just like in India, we have Diwali where we exchange a lot of gifts. Same thing during the holiday season in US, people exchange a lot of gifts. And what we found is during the holiday season of 2017, Amazon sold millions of Alexa devices. Now, Alexa is nothing but a voice-based bot from Amazon. There are similar devices available, like we have Google Home from Google, we have Cortana from Microsoft, we have IBM Watson from IBM. So the trend we have seen is, and again, I will go back to my iPhone case, is if you go back 13 years when Apple announced about iPhone 1, very few organizations were supporting mobile devices at that time. Like maybe if you are a C-level executive or a senior manager, then maybe you may have access to BlackBerry, which was a quite popular device at that time to check the emails and respond to your emails. Now, fast forward 13 years, if you join an organization, whether it's a commercial organization, non-profit, or a government organization, they expect you that you will carry a smartphone, and they expect that you will get some job done using the smartphone. So same thing will happen where if the devices like Alexa or Google Home are sitting at people's home, and if people are getting more and more comfortable using those devices, sooner or later you will notice that these kind of devices will be sitting at your desks as well. And you as a developer, you as an IT pro, or you as a business analyst, or you as a end user, then need to know how to use those devices, how to write those applications, and how to support those devices. So even if, and this transition happen without even you noticing it. And another key thing that why I personally think that this kind of things is not a distant, is not like a dream, but it will just a reality, is to use the AI services these days. You don't need to be a data scientist. If you ask any one who is a data scientist, and they will confirm that data science and statistics is a very, very hard trade to to master, and there are very few data scientists available in the world than the current demand is. But what this big organization has done, like the big organizations like Microsoft or Google or AWS or Amazon or IBM, is they have launched something called AI as a services to democratize the AI. And when it comes to the AI as a services, you don't need to be a data scientist to use those services. The analogy I would like to give you here is, if you have done any kind of web development, then you may have read or heard about the popular JavaScript frameworks like the Angular or React. To you use those frameworks, you don't need to know how these frameworks are built from the ground up. Only thing you need to know is how to use this framework. So same thing goes with AI as a services, where you don't need to understand the data science part of it. Only thing you need to know is how to use these services and add intelligence to my application. So the approach that I will be taking in this session is, so this session is geared towards non-data scientist people, and the target audience is developer, IT pros, and power users. So let's talk about what is AI, because setting up the level of expectation when it comes to AI is very, very important. And also it's very important to understand where we are right now, so that depending on that, then you will think about what are some of the possibilities you have when it comes to implementing AI in your organization or in your product. So this is the definition of AI I got from AI researcher from Google, is an effort to automate intellectual tasks normally performed by humans. Now, AI is not new. Like we as a humans is using AI from last 50 to 60 years. I think the first documented evidence of humans using AI is during World War II. And you may be using AI at your home, but you may not ever notice it. One of the uh, everyday example is, if you have worked in a multi-story building, or if you lived in a multi-story building, then most of the multi-story building is come with elevator. And in the elevator, you just have to press the button to go to a particular floor. And if the elevator is working right, it will take you to that floor. So there is automation involved, where if you don't have the elevator, then someone has to use a rope, or someone has to use another mechanism to take you from, let's say, ground floor to level 3. If you are using a AC or thermostat at home, and then let's say you set a specific temperature, then that AC or thermostat will make sure that that temperature is maintained in that room. If that's the case, then the next question you'll be asking me, if Prashant, that's the case, if AI is not new, then why there is so much hype in the media and in the industry right now? The reason for that is, now with machine learning, we can build very powerful applications and than what we have seen in our everyday life. And that's why you'll see there is a lot of hype and interest around AI, because now we have infrastructure to support powerful machine learning algorithms. So before we jump into the actual AI, let's talk about where we are right now. So you can categorize AI into 3 categories. One is the strong AI, and the strong AI is where the machines are so powerful, they can invade the planets, they can destroy the planets, they can travel intergalaxy, and all this stuff only exists right now in the science fiction movies or in the novels. Second case of AI is artificial general intelligence, where machines are powerful and they can do very, very complicated tasks, which is very difficult for an average human being. One of the example I would like to give you here is, if you have seen Marvel comics or Marvel's franchise called Iron Man, the main character there, Tony Stark, has a personal assistant called Jarvis, and that personal assistant is a virtual assistant, but he's very, very intelligent, and he can perform very, very complicated tasks which are very difficult for an average human being. And again, this stuff only exists right now in science fiction movies and in the novels. Where we are right now is, we are at weak AI, where we have specialized services for specialized tasks. Like we have specialized services to detect text, we have specialized services to detect video, we have specialized services to detect images. And we as a humans are trying to go from weak AI to AGI, and the biggest bottleneck in that journey is the kind of processing power we have. The more progress we make in the computation or processing power, the easier for us to go from weak AI to AGI, and from AGI to strong AI. So these are the various things that are all part of the AI. You may be hearing a lot about machine learning, vision, machine vision, information extraction, classification and clustering. So all these things are actually part of AI in general. And since we are at a weak AI, so what I'll be talking next is what are some of the weak AI use cases or services available in Microsoft ecosystem. So this is the mission statement of Microsoft. They want to make sure data science and AI is accessible to everyone, and it doesn't matter what your role is, whether you are a developer, information worker, or you are just a consumer. And they are working really hard to achieve this mission statement. And some of the services or product offering that you'll see from Microsoft, especially in the AI space, you will notice that they are making sure it doesn't matter whether you are a technical or non-technical person. Even a non-tech person can still use AI services and infuse intelligence in your applications. So when it comes to AI, you can categorize Microsoft AI into two categories. One is the Azure AI, where that's the main division where all the AI services and all the AI offerings are. And there are also Power Platform and Microsoft 365, where they're using Azure AI and implementing a custom built solutions which are tailored to that particular product suite. So under Azure AI, we have Apps and Agent. And for Apps and Agent, we have Azure Bot Service and Azure Cognitive Services. Under knowledge mining, we have Azure Cognitive Search. And for machine learning, we have Azure Databricks, Azure Machine Learning, and Azure AI Infrastructure. And these are the resources you can follow if you are interested learning more about all these various technologies or AI stuff we have in Microsoft ecosystem. Regarding cognitive services, you can go to this link. Here on this link, you will find the Get Started guide. If you are interested in learning about the bots, you can follow this link and you will find some of the quick start tutorial here. I'll definitely recommend you to check the AI school. This will help you in your AI journey, where you'll see a lot of tutorials available for you for free that you can go. Another sites that are not listed here are coursera.org or edx.org, where you will see a lot of free tutorials available, not only from Microsoft, but other big corporations like the IBM, the Amazon, the Google, and also the leading educational institutions as well that you can take for free. And also you can get certification by paying some additional fees. So if you are totally new to the AI and you are so confused because you are confused to where to get started, because I had the same questions 3 years before, where I wanted to get into Microsoft AI stack, but I didn't know where to start. So you can follow this flow chart, where depending on what you would like to do, whether you would like to build your own machine learning model, or you would like to just consume the pre-trained model. If you would like to build your own model, then Azure Machine Learning is for you. And depending on where you would like to host your model, whether you would like to host the model into the cloud, or whether you would like to host and create the model in your own infrastructure, you have various options available. If you are like me, who does not have much background in the stats and data science, but still would like to get started with it, then you will be basically looking at consuming these services. And under services, we have cognitive services and bots. And in today's talk, we will be talking about cognitive services and bots. So let's talk about bots. If you are interested in learning about bots in Microsoft ecosystem, so we have two options available right now. One is under platform as a service, where you have Microsoft Bot Framework, which is an open source SDK, and it's built for the purpose of bot development. And the target audience for the Microsoft Bot Framework is developers. There are some scenarios where you can still create a bot using Azure Bot Service without writing a single line of code. However, those scenarios are limited. If you really want to take advantage of Microsoft Bot Framework, then you need to be a developer. And right now, 4 languages are supported when it comes to Microsoft Bot Framework. You can create bots, custom bots using C#. You can create using Node.js. You can create using Python, and you can create using Java. However, one thing you should keep in mind is if you are planning to host your bot in Microsoft Azure, then right now only 2 languages are supported, which is C# and Node.js. That means if you create your bot using Python or Java language, then you had to host your bot somewhere else. You cannot host that into Azure Bot Service. And this is the link you can follow where you'll see more information about Microsoft Bot Framework. Then recently, or not recently, during the last year Ignite, Microsoft announced another a product for bot development, and its name is Power Virtual Agent, and it is a part of Microsoft Power Platform, and it provides you a no-code experience for bot development. Under the hood, Power Virtual Agent is built using Microsoft Bot Framework, and so that means the underlying bits are the same, whether you create a custom bot using Microsoft Bot Framework or you use Power Virtual Agent. Power Virtual Agents are ideal for business users and domain expert to easily build a bot. And as I mentioned, it's built using the Microsoft Bot Framework, but you as a creator of the bot, you don't have to worry about all this stuff because Microsoft has taken care of you behind the scene. And if you are interested learning more about Power Virtual Agents, or you would like to start creating Power Virtual Agents, just go to this link and you can sign up for the free trial. If you are a SQL expert, let's say you are a data platform expert and you want to quickly create a chatbot, you may find that Microsoft Bot Framework is a little bit difficult for you because you may not have a proper background in C# development or Node.js or Java or Python development. Then Power Virtual Agents will be perfect for you, where using the drag and drop functionality, you can quickly have a working bot within few minutes. Any questions on the bots before we dive deep into the machine learning part and the cognitive services part? Okay, looks like there are none. So let's talk about what is machine learning. Again, I'm not a data scientist, so this definition or the content I'll be covering is purely to give you some head start in machine learning, and then I will share some resources where you can learn more about that. So machine learning is basically, if you had to simplify machine learning, you can simplify like this. Machine learning helps you to examine large amount of data, and inside that data we are looking for the patterns. And once you find the pattern, it generates the code, and that using that code you can find the similar pattern in the new set of data. And the biggest goal, or the number one goal of machine learning, is to make better predictions. As I mentioned before, there is a lot of hype in the media and in the industry about driverless car. The way driverless car work is it has a very fancy, sophisticated, high, very powerful cameras situated in the front of the car, which is constantly taking the images and feeding that images back to the custom application that is running in the car. And then in the real time, it taking decision or prediction, what kind of speed it has to maintain, what kind of lane it has to maintain, whether it has to take the right turn, left turn. So all these predictions it can maintain because it can now have a powerful machine learning algorithms which are running there. So basically the biggest goal of machine learning is to help you to create a smarter application. So if you had to see machine learning in nutshell or as a flowchart, this is how it will look like. You'll have a data, and it will be a large set of data, and the data will contain some patterns. And then you will use the machine learning algorithm of your choice, which helps you to identify the pattern inside your data. Then you generate a model, and then your model will help you to recognize the patterns. And then you will use that model in your application. And then to your application, you will provide a new set of data to see if any known patterns are there. Now, this thing is very important to understand. Like if you see here, even if you, let's say, have a really good machine learning model, you still need to integrate that in your application. That means you need the help of developers there. Because even if, let's say, I have a groundbreaking machine learning algorithm which can identify or which can make a really, really accurate prediction, to have a working product out of that, I need to integrate that in your application. And when it comes to application, you need to have developers who can write that applications. And the reason I'm mentioning that, because some of the services from Microsoft actually helps you to achieve that goal, where you have two teams. You have a team of data scientists who are developing a really good machine learning algorithms. And then you have a team of developers who can then use those algorithms and create smarter applications. These are the popular machine learning algorithms we have. And if you would like to read more about these algorithms and you would like to, master this algorithm, I will definitely recommend you to follow this cheat sheet from Microsoft. which is available here, where you will see uh, the basic definition or information about or introductory information about all these machine learning algorithms, and then you'll also find some links to dive deep into that. So now let's talk about cognitive services, which is AI as a service from Microsoft. And there are some similar services available from competitors as well. I know AWS has similar services. In Google, it's called Google AI APIs, where they have similar services. In IBM, it's offered under the brand name called IBM Watson. So AI as a services, you have a lot of options, and depending on your choices, you can go with one vendor or another. In this talk or in this demo from here onwards, I'll be focusing only on Microsoft. So it basically a cognitive service is nothing but a REST-based API. And to use the cognitive services and infuse intelligence in your application, all you need is you need the URL of your API, and you need the subscription key. And with that, then you can start using those services inside any application of your choice, and you can create that application using any platform of your choice. That means you can use cognitive services with any platform that allows you to consume REST-based APIs. That means if you're a developer, you can use that not only in Windows ecosystem, you can use that into the Linux ecosystem, you can use that into the iOS ecosystem as well. When it comes to the choice of development languages, you can use that with C#, with Java, JavaScript, Node.js, Python, and any other language which supports consumption of REST-based API. And these cognitive services are actually product of Microsoft Research, and Microsoft Research is doing phenomenal work from last 20 years. There is not much hype around that in public, but some of the big groundbreaking work they are doing, they are actually offering us via cognitive services. There is a quality documentation available on GitHub and on Microsoft site, and also you can ask questions on Stack Overflow, and Microsoft is paying people to monitor that Stack Overflow to answer your questions. And let's say if you are looking for something which is not available right now in cognitive services, you can always go to the user voice and request that feature. So as I mentioned, cognitive services are nothing but the REST-based APIs. If that's the case, where we can use them, right? So any application that can consume REST-based API, you can use cognitive services. So if you are a developer, you can use that in JavaScript application, console application, .NET application, Java-based application, iOS application, Node.js, Logic apps. Let's say if you're not a developer, or if you would like to use low code or no code products, you can still use cognitive services and add intelligence to your application. If you are familiar with Microsoft Power Platform, there is a product called Power Automate. If you are familiar with SharePoint, there's a product called SharePoint Designer 2013, where it allows you to consume REST-based API. We can also use third-party products like the automation, the RPA products like the UiPath or the Blue Prism or the WinAutomate. Excuse me. So any product that allows you to consume REST-based API, you should be able to use that. And that means it doesn't matter whether you are a developer or you are an information worker, you can still use the services and add intelligence to your application. So with that, let me show you the demo part of this talk now. Before I start with the demos, let me know if you have any questions. Satya, any questions so far? All right.
No questions so far, Prashant.
Okay. All right. So let me see. So for the demos, if you are on a machine which allows you to have dual screen, so I'll definitely recommend following some of the steps with me. So open your favorite browser and use your favorite search engine and just look for search for Microsoft Cognitive Services. And since I'm using subtitles, let me see if I can reduce the size of this so the subtitles are visible. Perfect. All right. And the link you're looking for is this one, Cognitive Services API for AI developers. So if you click on this link, scroll down, and here you will be seeing various services that are available. And I definitely recommend you to go to the site to frequently check what are the services that are there. And these services are categorized into various categories, like under decision, we have anomaly detector, content moderator, metric advisor, which is under preview. We have personalizer. If you click on the language, then we have uh, uh, immersive reader, we have language understanding, we have Q&A maker, we have text analytics, we have translator. If you are interested creating the bots in Microsoft ecosystem, you should definitely want to check out the language understanding, and also along with that a Q&A maker as well. So if I click on the speech, then I have speech to text, text to speech translation, speaker recognition. By the way, one of the cool AI service I forgot to mention in the beginning of the talk is, and I'm using that as part of the inbuilt feature of PowerPoint, where I'm using subtitles, and these subtitles are getting generated real time. And right now I have selected language as English, but in my PowerPoint setting, I can also use any other language as well. So let me see, and that everything is happening real time, and under the hood, Microsoft's PowerPoint is actually use all the cognitive services that you are seeing on the screen. Like it is currently using speech to text, and that means if you sign up for this particular service, the underlying algorithms or underlying infrastructure that your service will be using will be the same that the PowerPoint is using on my deck right now, and I'm not getting charged for that at all. This service is available to me because I have a licensed version of PowerPoint. That's it. Then under vision, I have computer vision, custom vision, face, form recognizer, ink recognizer, video indexer. If any service is under preview, you will see a preview like a label here. And under web search, we have a lot of services available under the Bing. So what I will be showing you today in the today's demo is under languages, there is a service called text analytics. Now the reason I have selected text analytics is because there are a lot of practical use cases that we can implement right now in your organizations. Like if you click on the text analytics, then it will take you to the page where you will be seeing additional information about the text analytics, like what exactly it does, like and what exactly it helps you to get. So one of the key things that text analytics offer is it basically helps you to analyze text, and it does four things really well. One is it helps you to identify what language that text is written. That means whether the language is English or any other popular languages. Second thing is it helps you to identify the key phrases that are used in the text. And third is it helps you to identify um, the whether the statement is positive or negative via sentiment score. That means if the sentiment score is towards 1, that means the statement is positive. If the sentiment score is towards 0, that the statement is negative. And also along with that, it also gives you the name entities and the link entities as well. And if you are interested, start using this application, then you can read more documentation here. You can also see the Power Automate connector. You can also see the code sample. So let's say if you are interested using this text analytics and just want to play with it, the first thing you need is you need access to Azure. Like all the cognitive services are available as Azure services. That means you can use the free tier of the services, but for that you need to have access to the Azure. So first thing you do is you log into your Azure portal. If you don't have access to Azure, you can start using the free trial of Azure. And right now in United States, if you sign up for the free trial, Microsoft is giving you $200 of credit that you can use for free for next 12 months. Depending on your country of origin or depending on the country where you're signing from, that credit may vary. So next thing I will be doing is I will be going to my Azure portal, so portal.azure.com, and then I will be creating the text analytics app. Then I'll be click on create a resource. and I'll be typing text analytics. And this is the one I'm looking for. This is from Microsoft. So just click create. Okay, one of the subscription, I actually have a lot of things, so it's got disabled. So let's select another subscription here. All right, looks like I have to change my subscription here. No worries. Let me go to subscription here. I have multiple, so uh, uh, um, go to this one. Perfect. And perfect. Go to resources, add a new one, and let's call text analytics. And then click create. All right. So first thing is you need to give a name. So make sure you give a proper name, because if you're doing a POC for that, what you can do is you can start with the free tier. So if I expand this pricing tier here, so you can use F0. However, there is a limitation that you can use F0 only once within your subscription. So I have already used that. So I will go with standard S, but you can also start with F0 if you haven't used that at all. Then give it a proper name. In this case, I will call it as a data platform gigs demo text analytics demo 01. And then you specify the subscription. Now location is important because depending on your location, the results that you get from your cognitive service may vary. One of the example I would like to highlight here is if you go under vision, we can use that service to identify the images and whether that images are appropriate for the workforce or not. And you will see a different results based on where that service is hosted. Like if I upload a picture of my coworkers, and if that service is hosted in US, then it may use a different rules as compared to if I host that service, let's say in Middle East or in Africa, and then that service may show you different results based on the rules that are applicable or social norms that are applicable into that particular region. So since I live in United States, I live in the East Coast, I will be selecting East Coast. But depending on your location, you should be selecting a location. And also another factor you can consider in the location is who will be your target audience, whether majority of the users will be from US or UK region or Australia region or Asia region or Middle East or Africa. Then you select the pricing tier, and the third thing is the group, and then you will create that. So once you create that, uh, it will be created in a matter of minutes. And while it's getting created, oh, it's already done. Then let's go to resources and let me walk you through. So the two important things you need once you create this service is you need this endpoint URL to make the call, which is in this case is this one. And like data platform gigs, text analytics demo, and then .cognitive-services.azure.com. You can also customize this URL, and you can do some additional Azure configuration in the Azure service, and you can customize this URL so that it starts like your company name, like data platform gigs 01.companyname.com or something like that. For that, you need to do some additional configuration here. And then another important thing you need is the key. And the key so make sure you never share your key with anyone, because let's say if I know your endpoint URL and if I know your key, I can make the calls on your behalf and you will get charges for that. That means you should never also store these keys in a public platform, especially let's say if you're a developer and if you're using GitHub for posting all your repositories, then make sure you're not storing these keys as part of your source code somewhere. So with this two, all you can just get started and infusing text analytics in your application. And if this is the first time you are playing with this, or if you are And this is true for other services as well. Let's say you are totally new to some service or product in Azure. Always check for this quick start in the left hand navigation once you create that service. And under the quick start, if you scroll down, depending on what kind of support is there, you will see the direct link to the official Microsoft documentation on the quick start guide. So if I click on API console, then I can see the API console that is available, which I can use to quickly test out this particular um, APIs. And this is the example for the text analytics, and I can get like how can make a call to this API using the code samples in various languages. But if you are looking for, let's say, end-to-end sample, you can also find that, like you can see the quick start C# jumpstart, you can see the C# solution, the Python, the Node.js, the Go, the Ruby. And also, if you would like to start with container, the support for the containers is available for the text analytics. So those of you who are not familiar with the containers, containers is a way where instead of executing your code in a virtual machine, you'll be spinning up container, which will be self-sufficient. That means it will have the support for underlying OS, your custom code, and if you need any SQL or any database, it will have the instance of that. And then your application will get executed in the container, and once the application is ended, the container will end. So there are a lot of scenarios where container makes sense, especially if you don't want to send your data to the cloud. As I mentioned, this service is hosted in Azure. That means if your company has a very tight data governance rules and you don't want to use any kind of public cloud offering, you can consume this cognitive services via containers, where you have a local copy of the services which you use, and then that way you're not sending your data to the cloud. And Microsoft also follow the strict regulation when it comes to the data that you will be sending to the cognitive services. Microsoft will not store your data. It will get deleted after a few minutes. However, if your company's regulation are such that your data cannot reside or cannot leave your premises even for a minute, then you can definitely consider containers. Another instance you can consider containers is if you have a spotty internet connection, like for example, if you are writing an application for the shipping corporation, where while it's going through the various oceans and the seas, the internet connection may be spotty. That time you can consider the containers. And here, and not all services are there under containers, but they're like text analytics is definitely there, and you can see additional information there. So we created this one. Now let's see how easy it is to consume the text analytics as a power user without writing a single line of code. And then I will show you the demos using a C# language. So before I show you the demo, let's see if there are any questions, any comments or feedback so far. Looks like none. So this can mean either two things: either the contents I'm explaining everyone is getting, or everything is just going parallel. So hopefully the first is the case, where the
Yeah, I
contents I'm
guess it's the
explaining
first
here.
one, Prashant.
Okay. All right. So let me pull up my demo site real quick. So what I have here is, let me see the resolutions right. So I have created a custom form, and what we will be doing with the custom form is we will just asking for the feedback from the employee. And in this case, I have created this custom form using SharePoint, but you can use any uh, platform of your choice, or application of your choice. You can use Microsoft Forms, you can use custom ASP.NET form, you can use any other like JavaScript form, or you can use uh, even Power Apps as well. And whatever you create, looks like there is one question. Okay, there is a question from Jason. Does the container work without internet? So there is a catch. Uh, it will work without the internet, but after every 15 minutes, the container service has to make connection to the Azure for the billing purposes. Right now, there is no way to bypass that. Like, let's say you have a spotty internet connection, and or let's say you're working for a government organization and you don't want to send the data. So during that, after every 15 minutes, the container will not send your data to the Azure, but what it will send the billing information. And a lot of government agencies or organizations are fine with that. But if you are not fine with that, and if we have a really good use case, I'll definitely recommend to check with Microsoft, because depending on the demand and depending on the feedback, uh, they may able to make some tweaks. What happens is, if you are not able to make the connection in 15 minutes, the service will stop. Now, you can also use this as a loophole, where if you want to quickly try and test these containers without having to get actually charged, you can spin up the containers and then just let it close after maybe 14 minutes, so that way the billing information is not getting sent, and you will not get charged, so you can quickly test out the POC. But yes, so if you don't have 15 minute more than 15, if you don't have internet for more than 15 minutes, then yes, your service will basically stop. But that was a good question. Thanks, Jason, and keep them coming. So here I have a SharePoint form, and once I submit the form, the information will get stored in this particular list. And as soon as the information gets stored, I am starting a Microsoft Flow, which is another product, which is one of the product in Microsoft Power Platform. Here you can use Azure Function, you can use Logic App, and through that product, then I'm actually calling Azure Cognitive Services and getting the information about the feedback real time. So let me show you the demo real quick. So what I will be storing is, let me give the title as data platform um, gigs virtual symposium, and Amit, Satya, Arthi, and rest of the team are doing amazing job. And I am deliberately keeping this sentiment score, language, and key phrases as a blank right now. And I'll click save. And what will happen, as soon as I save, a flow will start, which will call this cognitive services. And once it get the information back, it will just update these columns here. So let me show you this action first, and then I will show you the implementation. So I will just click refresh here. And if everything is fine, we should see the results within a couple of minutes. Okay, let's refresh one more time. All right, so we got sentiment score back, which is close to 1 or 0.988, because the statement I wrote is fairly positive. Then the language, it was able to identify correctly that it's written in English, and the key phrases is amazing job. Now let's see its implementation. So for this, what I have used is, I have used something called Microsoft Flow. And again, you can sign up for Microsoft Flow uh, uh, either using as a free subscriber, or you can also get Microsoft Flow via your Microsoft 65 subscription or via your dynamic subscription as well. So the flow I'm using is these 3 flows, and let me show you the flow to detect the language. And let me quickly go to the edit. So if you are familiar with Logic App, this UI is pretty identical to the Logic Apps, because Microsoft Flow is built on the top of Logic Apps, and the flow will start whenever someone submits a new feedback. And what we are doing here, we are using this out of the box action called detect language. And all we have to do is, we have to just pass the text to this particular action. And in the connection to this action, we have to specify our information. And that information is, if I give it a name, I can call it as a data platform geeks and demo 01. So here I had to provide the endpoint URL, which was this, and also the subscription key that we have. And once I give that, I can then start making the calls to the text analytics API or service I created. And then this particular action will send the text. And then whatever the results are coming back, are coming back as part of this response, and I'm getting this response back and adding that back to the SharePoint. So this is the example about the detect language. Now let's see about the sentiment score. Same concept where it starts with whenever a new feedback is submitted, then to detect sentiment, we send the text, and under the connection, we have configured the connection to our text analytics API using our subscription URL and also the key. And whatever the score is coming back, we are updating that back to the SharePoint list. So very simple implementation, and we can have a like we can use the cognitive services without writing a single line of code. If you want to explore more and more features like this, I will definitely recommend you to check some of the offerings from Microsoft under AI Builder. AI Builder is part of Power Platform product group, and it's more for the low code, no code use cases. But this was just an example of how you can consume these services without writing a single line of code. Now, the next demo I have is regarding the C Sharp, like how we can consume the services using C Sharp. So before it will take like maybe a minute or two for me to open all the applications. So it's a good time to ask any questions that you may have. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am starting the Visual Studio. Again, the examples I'll be showing you, I am using C Sharp, but you can also use this cognitive services in any other language of your choice, provided that language allows you to consume REST-based APIs. So the example I have written is what it will help you to do is I have stored some documents on my machine, and the business problem I'm trying to solve is so I have a couple of documents on my machine, and the business problem I'm trying to solve is okay. And this is a very common scenario across the organization. Like every organization, if you are doing business from more than 5 years, you will have tons and tons of documents, especially sitting maybe in your network file share or in some location. And over the period of time, the documents will not be organized properly. That means the documents, some of the finance documents can be in the location where HR document should be, or some of the HR documents are where the finance document should be. So what you can do is if you had to categorize and classify those documents, you have two options. Either you can ask someone to manually open the documents and then read the contents and then decide where this document should go, or you can use something like cognitive services where you read the document content programmatically, and then you send that content to the cognitive service, and then cognitive service will inside cognitive service, the text analytics API will tell you what is the language of the document, what are its key phrases, and then depending on these two information, then you can decide, okay, whether it's a HR document and it's English, then it should go to this location. If it's a finance document and the language is Spanish, then it should go to that location. So I'll be opening these two documents real quick. So the first document, what I have written is cognitive services are awesome, Microsoft is awesome, and AI is awesome. And in the second document, what I have is I have the combination of text, I have combination of image, and also I have entered some information as part of a table as well. The reason I mentioned enter the table because I wanted to show you a little bit advanced use case, because even if the information is in the table, we can still extract this information and send that to the text analytics API. So here is the example I have. So I may have to update the keys real quick. So let me do that, because the subscription where the keys are based is actually deactivated right now because I have exceeded my quota. So let me take care of that real quick. And as I mentioned, we shouldn't be sharing these keys with anyone, right? So let me copy this key here. and then let me paste this key here, delete, paste, save, done. All right. So this is the simple C# application I have built. It's a console application, and if you are familiar with C#, then I have added a NuGet package. And in the NuGet package, I got the package for Microsoft Cognitive Lewis. And this package basically contains uh, uh, the underlying bits to make the call to the Cognitive Services API. And to read the documents, the package I use is document format OpenXML. So the way this will work is whatever documents are stored in that particular directory, it will read one by one, and then it will construct the JSON object of the document. And then one by one, we will be sending that JSON object to the various text analytics API. The first operation we'll be doing, we will be getting the sentiment score. Then we'll be getting the key phrases. And the third will be getting the language. So let me run this in the debug mode, and I will show you the action, the results in real time. And again, the complete source code is already available on my GitHub page, so you can check this source code out and download it and start executing. So let's run through this real quick. So so far we read, excuse me, the contents of the document, and let me see if anything getting. So far there is nothing on the console yet. Now let's step ahead through, and now we'll be making call to the sentiment part of the text analytics API, and whatever the results that is coming back, we'll be displaying that on the console. So let's go ahead with that, and let's see the results here. All right. Okay, looks like there is an error with my particular subscription key. So let me stop the debugger, and I will just use another one real quick. Sorry for this blip. I'll just go here and go to all resources, and not this one, the other one. And all right, this is the one I was looking for. Okay, copy this. And this is a good time to ask any questions that you may have while I'm just changing the keys here. And again, the reason I'm not changing in front of you is because these keys, you shouldn't be sharing these keys with anyone. All right. Next thing I will do is okay, let me copy this, and I just have to update this one. All right. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Now we should be good to go. All right. I see there is a question from Manish. Can you explain while opening in portal.azure, what is the use of the key? So the keys will be to validate you. So Azure does not know about you, right? So whenever you would like to consume something in the public cloud, you have to first uh, prove your identification. And the way that works in the cognitive services is done that through your endpoint URL, the combination of your endpoint URL and the key. So as long the combination of the endpoint URL and your key is correct, then Azure can successfully validate, okay, the request is coming from the genuine party, so it will go ahead and execute your request. So that's you need the combination of your endpoint URL and the key to prove who you are. And then once that once you prove that, then you can start using your service, and then depending on your usage, you will get charged accordingly. I hope that explains the question. So let me run this real quick. Again, I'll be running this in debug mode. And F5, F5. All right. Now this is the sentiment score we got. So I updated the URLs, the subscription key, and also the URL as well. So in the first document, the score came as 0.99. And if you remember, in the first document, the content I have was cognitive services are awesome. Everyone is awesome. And the second document, I have some generic statements like let's make USA great or something like that. And the score came as 0.5 because it was not a positive statement. It's not a negative statement either. And the next set of call we are doing is to get the key phrases from both the documents. So let's quickly run through that. And the key phrases we got is this one. So in the first document, the key phrases are cognitive services, Microsoft AI. In the second document, it's a USA election and USA great. So these are the two key phrases. And the third one is then we are detecting the language. Okay, I think I had to start the debugger again because I have seen this happening before as well. And this is the problem with my console application. If I wait too long, the third call normally doesn't go that well. So let me just go through that. And this app happens only while I'm debugging and just waiting too long. Okay. Now the language information is displayed here. So it is correctly identifying the first document is written in language, and it is actually confident that it is 100% sure that the language is English. In the second document, same thing, it's 100% sure the language is English. So here you can see how easily we can use something like a cognitive service, which helps you to automate basics, like a very common scenario in your organization. You can, along with that, there is services for videos, for images. There is a form recognizer as well. So I'll definitely recommend you to explore various services are there. There will be some services where you'll see a demo application on the Microsoft side. Some services will not have, but that will just give you an idea what each service does and whether you can use that service in your organization for any particular practical use. But one of the key thing which I did not highlight is, so cognitive services are the underlying machine learning algorithm it uses are the one which Microsoft has created and trained over the years or their own data sets. That means you as a consumer don't have any influence in terms of training the data. There are very few services which allows you to create your custom like you can allow you to create or train the model, but something like text analytics does not do that. But what if you have a typical use case where your text is written in a certain format and the results you're getting back are not consistent with what you're expecting? Because again, these services are trained on the generic data sets or the generic text that Microsoft finds. But what if you have a unique scenario where you would like to create your own proprietary machine learning algorithm and you want to use your own data to train that? So there is a service available for that in Microsoft ecosystem called Azure Machine Learning. I will not be covering that in detail because that service itself warrants a complete, let's say, a session altogether. But I'll be giving you like a quick 5-minute overview of that service. So it's basically a fully managed cloud service which enables you to easily build, deploy, and share predictive analytic solutions. And one of the key advantage of is you can quickly create, test, and operationalize, and have the machine learning models there. But one of the key thing is once your machine learning model is ready, you can publish as a web service. Remember in the beginning of the talk, I mentioned that no matter how sophisticated machine learning algorithm you have, you need to use that machine learning algorithm in application so that you can create a meaningful application. So this is one of the biggest advantage of this particular product or offering from Microsoft is you can have a team of two. You can have two teams. One is data scientist where they build a really good machine learning model, and then they use something like Azure Machine Learning and publish that model as a web service. Then your developers come into picture, and then they will consume that model via web service. So that will give you a really good story where both the teams can then work together and create a really meaningful and successful product, which uses a really good AI machine learning models for that. So let me quickly show you a quick 3 or 2 minutes demo of this one. So for that, again, use your favorite browser and use your favorite search engine and just search for Azure Machine Learning. And the link we are looking for is this one. Again, this is the classic site. You can check, this is, there is a modern site available as well. The reason, one of the thing is you can try this for free. So just click on sign in. And this is a good tool for folks who would like to get their hands dirty in machine learning, because once you sign up with your free account, you will see some already pre-built machine learning models with some data sets that you can see how the machine learning works, how you can use the drag and drop functionality to create your machine learning model. But what I am interested in showing you is the web service part of it. So I quickly created a model. I deployed that model using Azure Machine Learning. And let me refresh this again. Not now. And let me click on this new web service experience. So once you are here, and just wait for maybe a few seconds. Once where I'm most interested is if I click on this consume tab here, and if I scroll down, you'll see all the primary and secondary key, and also you will get a generated code that will help you to consume this particular custom machine learning model that I deployed as a web service. And the sample you see is in C#, Python, Python 3, and R. So this is a really powerful tool where you can have a team of data scientists working on machine learning model, deploy as a web service, and then developers will come in and then use the samples from here and then start consuming this machine learning model in the form of web service in your custom application. Okay. So we covered that. All right. So this is like we are coming towards the end of the talk. I know we just have 7 more minutes left. So I would like to, in the last 7 minutes, I would like to spend some time sharing some of the free resources, which helps you to get access to the products in Microsoft ecosystem and also open up the floor for additional Q&A. Again, feel free to ask questions on any topic. It doesn't have to stick to the topic we discussed today. I will try my best to give answers. I am not a SQL expert, so I may not have answer to SQL questions, but I will at least try to answer the questions on Microsoft 365, Power Platform, and Azure AI and bots. So if you are interested learning about the Power Platform or SharePoint or Microsoft Teams in general, you can join this program from Microsoft called Office 365 Developer Program. And once you join, you can get a free Microsoft 365 subscription with E5 license. And that subscription will come with 25 users and it will be valid for 90 days. And if you use that for your personal training and development, and Microsoft can keep track of that, they will automatically extend your trial for another 90 days. I'm personally using one tenant through this program, and Microsoft is graciously extending the trial period every 90 days. And this is the link. You can go and click on that. And once you join this, you will go to this page where you can create your own Microsoft 365 tenant. Another way is you can always sign up using a trial account. But remember, when you sign with the trial account, You have to enter your credit card information, and if you are no longer planning to use the trial account, make sure you disable before your trial period ends. To use cognitive services, you need a valid Azure subscription. Now let's talk about various ways to get that. Uh, you can get personal Azure subscription via MSDN, and that's the recommended one. But not all companies or have MSDN accounts. But depending on what kind of MSDN account you have, you get free credits per month for free. And for some reason, if you exceed your quota, then your subscription will just get disabled for a few days. But at least you will not get charged additionally for that. If you have MSDN Enterprise, you get $150, but depending on other categories, your credit may vary. And if you are a MSDN subscriber, then definitely go to your MSDN account page and click this button to activate your Azure credits. Another way you can get Azure subscription is through the free trial account of Azure, where right now in United States, we are getting $200 of credit for free, and we can use that credit within 12 months. And again, any service that is free inside that will not get charged as well. That means if you sign up for the free trial today, and if you create a text analytics app, and if you go with F0 as a licensing option, you will not get charged for that at all because it's free, freely built there. However, you don't need a credit card for this one. Third one is, which not many people know, is there is a program called Microsoft Imagine, and it is especially for the students. There is similar program available for the startups as well. And if you are working for a startup, definitely check out with your Microsoft rep or the representative who's near your region and see whether your startup qualifies for some free credits or not. This Microsoft Imagine, it used to call Dream Spark before. You don't need a credit card for this, but what you need is a valid .edu account from a participant school or institution. That means if you are going to a school or a university, and if that university giving you .edu account, and if that university is participating in Microsoft Imagine program, through that you can get a personal Azure subscription without a credit card, and that subscription will come with some limited feature set. So these are some of the key takeaways. Hopefully the contents we covered today made you explore cognitive services and Azure machine learning, and you will go home and play with it. And if you don't have access to Microsoft 365, definitely check out this link. So these are the things we covered today. With that, and these are the references. With that, thank you very much for staying till the end and like to this marathon 24-hour conference. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. I have my email address listed. I'm also available on Twitter and also available on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you very much, Prashant. It was a wonderful session. So I hope attendees has a lot of takeaways from this session. And Manish has a question. Can you please explain about training program? That's
Manish, can you elaborate what kind of training you're talking about? Is
maybe he
it
was talking about DPS.
okay? So then Satya is the right person to answer about that. Satya, you want to take that?
Yeah, Prashant do have a training class in Data Platform Summit 2020. So
Okay,
I'm
that
sure.
one. Oh yeah. So that one, yes, I am conducting a training class on conversational AI where I will be expanding on the stuff we talked today, and the focus will be on conversational AI. That means how we can use conversational AI to create enterprise-grade bots, like the chat bots, the voice-based bots for your organization. So that will be the focus for that training class, where it will be more detailed and more hands-on as well. And I also posted the links to my LinkedIn account and Twitter account and my email address if you have any follow-up questions. Okay, are there any other questions that we haven't answered yet? And thanks Satya for posting that. Yes, there is you can get the 50% discount using the discount code DPS 2020. Any additional questions, or we good?
Looks like there are no more questions, Prashant. So
Okay.
we are
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining, and stay safe and stay healthy.